Hey guys, welcome to Z's Bees. It is, I don't even know what the date is today. Was it June
10th maybe?
10th? We're gonna dive in. You can see here, I had 2 honey supers on this one already. And over here, there's still just the one. I came down here just intermittently over the last couple days. They're filling up most of this box already with honey. The other 2 hives really haven't moved up. So I need to make a decision if I wanna leave the queen excluder on there or if I wanna take it off. So today we're gonna look, my main focus today is gonna be on swarm control, or I guess swarm prevention. Just see where they're at, see what if I need to do anything special here. So move over my hive tools. It's a beautiful day out here, so a lot of the worker bees are already out foraging, which is why between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock is your best time to inspect your hives, because most of the workers come close are out working. So that's exactly what I want to see in my second box here. So give them a little bit of, you see we got a little bit of ants in there. That's no big deal. Let's see what we're working with. Let's see if they started to move up into here yet. This was all drawn comb, meaning that this is honeycomb that the bees drew out last year. And you see right here, if you almost go right over the top, this one already has nectar in it, so they're already moving up. So this is exactly what we want to see. If you want to come over the top, Matt, you can kind of show there's bees that are down in there and they're already storing nectar in there. So I think I put it on there. I put this box on there just in the nick of time. So we'll see what we're doing here. This is going to tell us what we're looking like for nectar flow or honey for the year. I can tell just by the weight that it is, you can get kind of the angle here as I turn it. They're still storing. I don't see them starting to cap over yet. Let's check another frame. I'm gonna get my nice frame hanger. And they are really storing in here. So they are filling this up. There's significant weight. You see all their faces in there. They could care less about me. Go ahead and get in there a little bit, Matt. Right over the top. See them all storing in there. On a day like today, they are just working away. We'll take a peek at one more. Look at that. That's normally what you look like when you see brood, but this is just storing honey. Look at all their faces in there. This might be a very, very strong producing colony. So I'm going to button this one up just because they are doing what I want. So again, we have the brood chamber. That's where the queen works. This metal piece here is the queen excluder, so that the queen can't move up. So all that they can do up here is store honey. Okay, now this hive, as of 2 days ago, they hadn't moved past really the queen excluder. There was some bees up there. Now this is way more. This is really what I wanted to see. The fact that their workers are moving up, it takes them a little bit to learn to move up through the excluder in there. So let's just get them to move down a little bit. And let's just take a look. what I'm hoping to see is some nectar in here. And again, I don't really see it. Oh, there we go. So now they have just moved up, and that was really within the last, I would say, probably the last day. A day like today, you know, they've got this beautiful weather. Now this frame is real light here. You can see that they're on the bottom. Maybe you have to work on drawing it out a little bit. Matt, go ahead and come on over. You can see here all these bees with their face in there. They are storing honey. So that's really what I wanted to see here. Because they're doing what I want, I was a little bit worried that if they weren't going to move into the honey super, that they would start to really get crowded and they would start to backfill the brood chamber with that nectar. The fact that I'm starting to see nectar being moved up, that's really what I want to see. So we're going to move on to the third one. Well, let's see what we see. Okay, now what do we notice about this one here? One, there's a whole bunch of ants, which again doesn't really matter. Bees can't really protect them over here, but these are real big ants. But I don't see a whole lot of activity up here. Now, this is one where I really want to check and see what's going on. Why are they not moving up here? And sometimes the bees just choose to not go through the excluder. Some people will actually call a queen excluder a honey excluder. But looking down in there, there is some bees up here. Not nearly the same amount. But these ones are just the real light colored bees. You look at like a bee like that, almost yellow. There is a little bit of nectar over here. So they're starting to, but because there's hardly any, I'm just going to do a little bit of an inspection on this side just to see what their population looks like or doesn't look like. So I have a feeling, yep. This is by far my calmest hive. I mean, you look at them, they barely even move on there. Where the other ones are a little bit more, they'll run around. And so now it's the third hive, so I'm starting to remember everything. Let's just take a look here. I'm going to work from this side. Outermost frame, not a whole lot going on, hardly even drawn out. Okay, I don't see any queen cells. I see that they're storing some nectar, some pollen on this frame. This next one is pretty open yet. So you can see there, they're storing a lot of nectar. But this is just an absolutely calm hive. Thought I might have just saw the queen on this next one. We'll have to look really close. This one's heavy. Okay, I'm seeing a ton of drones. There's a little bit of brood in there. I really want to keep an eye out for the queen. So there's nectar, but there's also plenty of room to lay. Now I really want to start to see so you see all these are all big, huge drones. They look almost like a bus compared to the other bees. I'm not seeing a ton of new brood, but I'm also just getting to the center. I'm glad I'm doing an inspection on this. Okay, so here, if you get real nice and close right over the top, there's a lot of drones. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't see a queen cell on here. There's all larvae in there, so the queen is laying. Boy, just a ton of drones. Look at all that beautiful pollen in there. All the yellows. The real bumpy, looks like brood, is drone brood. So let's take a look here. This is a hive that I don't mind working with because they are just super calm. Okay, no queen cups. We're also in the upper box, so they may not have it down here. I see some larvae in there. I wouldn't be surprised if the queen is somewhere in here. The population is not overly big. This next frame looks really nice. That is a beautiful frame. Their drones have hatched. You see here the difference, and some of this was probably because I had brought already drawn comb, and if the drawn comb was a little bit bigger, that queen will see the size of it and she'll lay drone brood. But again, all those bumps in there are drones, but there's also a pretty big population of worker brood, which is the females. Now let's see here. We got a little bit of an attachment. This one's starting to get heavy again, so there's definitely gonna be some nectar on here. You see all that on the bottom? That's all drone brood. And it looks like we might have just ripped a potential queen cup. Is there anything in there? I think there is not. Let's check. Yep, there was. So right here, this is all royal jelly. So this hive might be getting ready to swarm. Let's take a peek at the second box down, and let's see if we can't find some more swarm cells. Not the end of the world. This hive is generally strong, but they're not really doing a whole lot as far as drawing stuff out. Let's button these guys back up. Okay, so we're gonna give this a twist because they probably have a lot of stuff attached. Now we want to work not fast, but okay. So now let's see what we're working with in here. Let's pop out one from the end. Okay, this one is not drawn out. They're really not drawing out a lot of comb, so that leads me to believe we might start to see. This is all nectar. It's all nectar. Just a ton of drones. Look at all that pollen in there. They mix that with the nectar. Let's see, is the queen over here? She could be. She's a real light colored queen. These are all open cells. Give a little bit of smoke here. The fact that I didn't see a queen cup on the bottom yet, that's a good sign. These guys might just be a little delayed, which sometimes that's a good thing if they grow too fast. This one here is attached on the bottom. Look at that. That is beautiful. Those are going to be hatching out real soon. You see how nice and dark that is? Got kind of a clump of stuff on this one. Let's see what we got here. Keep a real close eye for that queen, because when these hatch, the queen likes to be right back in there laying. I don't see her in here. I don't see any eggs in here. The downfall of wearing these gloves is that they get a little chunky. Well, I don't see any. There we go. Okay. You see these down here? Those are swarm cells. They're not capped over yet. So I'm going to remember that's 4 frames in. These are starting to get a little irritated with me. A couple cells up here. They're looking really good. I'm gonna do one more frame here. I don't necessarily mind if they swarm this year. I have a bunch of swarm traps. And I want to increase the number of hives that I have. So just have those 2 cells there. I don't see any on there. Okay, so let's button this one up. Try to do it nice and slow so you don't squish the bees. I'm going to take some of this drone comb. Bees will not like it overly, but it'll pay dividends later. So I'm not fighting my own hive. They didn't overly care for that. Queen excluder is stuck to the bottom still. Okay, everything is looking really good. These 2 hives are starting to move up and they're starting to store a bunch of nectar. I didn't go all the way in there. It may be a fault of mine to see swarm cells, but again, the way that they're moving in are moving up with all their honey. I'm feeling pretty good about that. The hive over here on the end, they weren't moving up at all. They seem to be very slow drawing out new comb. I had put in mostly existing comb in here, which they're using, but the population is big on the bottom. There's a ton of drones, and I think that they're getting ready to swarm. So we're still a little ways out. They were all open cells on there. So I have a bunch of swarm traps that are around here. I may let them swarm. One, because the queen itself, although she's good, she lays a decent pattern, I can introduce a new queen in there once they swarm. And we'll go over all that. So things are looking really good. These ones here are already putting away a bunch of nectar. So hopefully we get a bunch of honey. So thanks again for watching. We'll keep monitoring with our swarm traps.